This is my review of the Sigma 16 lens on my Sony ZVe10 and the Crane M3 mount. And the reason for this video is why I'm choosing to return the Sigma 16. It's a great beginner lens, according to everyone else that you read online, and they're probably right. But for my setup, after 2 weeks of using it, it's just not right for me. In short, it's too big and too heavy for what I want to do. It's not wide enough, but it's also too wide. I'll explain with the big and the heavy. On the gimbal, the Crane M3, it handles the weight well, but you have to set it so far back and down to try to give yourself some clearances that it limits your movement. So often you'll be moving the gimbal and it will clash with itself. So it's doable on the gimbal, but it's not a pleasant experience. It's not as it should be. So if you want to hold it at a moderate distance from yourself, you have to be careful with how you're framing the shot. You need to be conscious of how you're looking. If you want to hold it out and get a bit more background in, it's a lot harder to do satisfactorily. It's just not that comfortable walking around. Another reason that I'm returning it is that I often mount my camera on top of my computer and my screen's set quite far back. So I find the 16mm just a bit too wide to get too much background in there. You can use clear zoom, but why would you want to if the lens isn't right and you can get a different lens to suit? So now I've got the camera mounted up where I normally have it on top of my primary screen, and I find the width is a little too wide and you're getting a bit too much of my background rubbish as I work from home mostly. You can use Sony Clear Zoom, which crops the sensor, not the image. But if you're going to do that and it's not perfect for walking around and it's not perfect for mounting above your camera, and you got the opportunity, you might as well look for a lens that's better going to suit. So this is the camera set up on top of the computer where I have it mounted mostly for using as a webcam. You can see the image is quite wide, so if you're on meeting calls like Zoom or whatever, it's a bit too much background information for everyone when you're doing talking head sort of videos. You can crop it in with Sony Clear Zoom, which does a good job as it's a sensor crop as opposed to just the digital zoom. But if you're getting into that scenario, you might as well have a lens that you're happy with. Either it's going to do the vlogging really well or it's going to be a webcam really well. At the moment, the lens is doing neither of them perfectly. It's in the middle, so I'd rather get one that does a really good job on one of them to start with. We'll have a look at the zoom range now on the clear image zoom on the Sony cameras. So bear in mind this is a crop sensor, so this is the 16mm lens still, and we'll zoom in. And that will give us about an 18mm equivalent. We'll keep going. We'll go. That's giving us, what's that? That's giving us about a 21mm equivalent, and we'll zoom right in on this setting anyway, and we'll go to the 1.5 zoom, and that's going to give us about a 24mm equivalent field of view. So I think that's probably a bit more what you're going for, but then if you're zooming the whole way in on the sensor, you might want to actually have a lens that's doing that anyway. All right. And that's the basic reasons why I'm returning it. It's a great product. It's just in between of my use scenarios. So I look forward to finding something else that's going to fit what I want a bit better.